When you stop feeding people with your energy, they finally realize how hungry they truly were. My friends, let's start right here. For too long, you've been told that giving more, trying harder, chasing endlessly is what proves your love. But here's the truth they never told you. Your energy is the real currency in this game. And when you learn how to pull it back, suddenly the same people who acted like you didn't matter start looking over their shoulder, wondering where the glow went. Folks, that's not magic. That's human psychology. Before we dive in, hit that like button, smash subscribe, and make sure you don't miss what's coming, because this might just flip the way you see every relationship you've ever had. Hey folks, imagine this. You're like the sun in someone's life, warm, steady, always shining. They get used to it. They stop saying thank you for the light. They take it for granted, like the sun will always rise no matter how they treat you. And then, one day, you pull back. The warmth disappears. The light dims. Suddenly their world feels a little colder, a little darker, and for the first time they realize just how much they needed what they thought was guaranteed. That's the power of pulling back your energy. But here's the lie many of you are still holding on to. If I keep showing them I care, they'll stay. No, my friends. Chasing doesn't pull someone closer, it pushes them further away. Explaining yourself doesn't change their mind, it feeds their ego. They don't come back because of the words you send. They come back because of the silence they can't escape. Because absence, when it's backed by growth, echoes louder than any message you could type at 2 a.m. Think about this. If your presence didn't make them stay, your explanations won't either. But your absence? That makes them question everything. That makes them scroll your page at midnight. That makes them smile with someone else in public but break quietly in private. It's not about revenge. It's about rebalancing the scales. They bet you'd keep pouring, keep giving, keep waiting. But when you flip the script, when you pull your energy back and reinvest it in yourself, that's when the regret begins to grow. Here's another picture. Imagine you're a bonfire on a freezing night. They leave, thinking another fire down the road will burn brighter. Maybe for a while it does. But when that flame dies out and the cold sets in again, suddenly they remember your fire, the one they thought they could replace. Only now, that fire isn't theirs to sit by anymore. It's roaring for you. It's lighting up your path, not theirs. That's what happens when you stop burning for people who left you in the dark. And let's have a little fun with this too. You ever notice how the moment you stop texting first, suddenly they remember your number? The moment you stop watching their stories, suddenly they post twice as much. That's not coincidence. That's human nature. People chase what they can't control. They value what feels scarce. They miss what disappears. And when your energy is no longer free, you become the mystery they can't solve. But listen, this isn't about games. This is about growth, about reclaiming your worth, about reminding yourself that your energy is gold, not confetti to be thrown at anyone passing by. The real shift happens when you stop being the sun that never sets and become the star they can only glimpse in the distance. Rare, untouchable. So right now, I want you to say this out loud. I protect my energy. Type it in the comments below. Show me, show yourself, show the world that you're done giving away your power for free. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and stay with me, because in the next part, I'm going to show you exactly how pulling back your energy makes them chase you harder than ever before. Stay solid, stay focused, stay rare. Number 1, they thought you'd wait forever. Absence sharpens love, but presence strengthens it. That old line has truth, but here's the catch. They thought your presence was permanent, so they gambled on your absence never happening. My friends, that's the lie they lived in. They assumed you'd be right there, waiting in the same emotional spot, as if your life had a pause button they could press whenever they wanted. Imagine this. A man leaves his jacket on a chair in a cafe. He goes out, laughs with his friends, maybe even walks around the city, knowing in the back of his mind that jacket will be right there when he returns. That's how they saw you. Comfortable, guaranteed, waiting. But the day comes when they walk back and the chair is empty. That's when panic sets in. That's when they realize the warmth they abandoned isn't waiting anymore. Folks, that's what happens when you stop waiting. But let's be real about what goes through your mind first. The moment they leave, the fears start screaming. What if they never come back? What if they've already found someone else? What if I fade from their memory while they're laughing in new arms? These questions feel like knives turning in your chest. You stare at your phone, checking if it lights up. You scroll their profile, hoping to find clues. You lie awake, imagining the worst-case scenario. That fear convinces you that if you don't reach out, if you don't chase, you'll disappear forever. But my friends, fear is a liar. Fear tells you they'll forget you if you stay silent. The truth? Silence is the very thing they can't forget, because silence forces them to feel what your words could never explain, the void of your absence. Here's the hard truth they'll never admit. They didn't leave because you weren't enough. They left because they thought you wouldn't become more. They bet on your stagnation. They thought your story had peaked, your value had maxed out. That's why it hurts so much, because in their eyes, your growth wasn't part of the equation. But what happens when you prove them wrong? What happens when your silence is no longer about waiting, but about evolving? That's when regret is born. Let me paint another picture for you. Think of yourself as a flame in the cold. They stood by it, warmed their hands, felt safe, then wandered off, believing they could find another fire just as bright. Maybe they did for a while. Maybe the sparks felt exciting. But sparks die fast, and when they're left in the chill again, their mind drifts back to the fire that used to burn steady, the one they thought would never go out. But now, that fire doesn't burn for them. It roars for you. The lie you've been sold is this: if I explain myself, if I prove my love, they'll come back. No, folks. Explanations don't rebuild bridges that someone chose to burn. They don't feel your worth when you hand it to them on a silver plate. They only feel it when it's gone. They don't come back because you convinced them with words. They come back because they realize in the quiet hours that the world feels colder without your energy in it. Yes, it's hard. Pulling back your energy feels like giving up. It feels like disappearing means losing. It feels like silence is weakness. But that's another lie. Silence is not weakness. It's strength disguised as restraint. It's discipline over desperation. It's you saying, I don't have to perform to prove my worth. My evolution speaks louder than any words I could say. And here's the twist. When you stop waiting, you stop shrinking, you stop orbiting their world, and you start building your own. And nothing haunts them more than realizing the person they left behind became the version they always wanted, but without them. So let's break the cycle right now. Stop waiting, stop refreshing their page. Stop keeping a seat open at your table for someone who walked out of the restaurant. Your time, your attention, your energy, those are currencies. Stop giving them away for free. Protect them, guard them, redirect them into yourself. Because when they look back, and they will, they won't find the same person they left behind. They'll find someone rarer, stronger, and completely unavailable at the price they once thought they could afford. Say this with me right now. I don't wait, I elevate. Type it in the comments below. Show them, show yourself, show the world around you that you're no longer sitting in silence, hoping to be chosen. You are moving forward. You are building. You are becoming. Stay with me, because in the next part, I'm going to show you exactly how your emotional absence doesn't just confuse them. It plants the seed of regret that grows every single day you don't return. That's when the real shift begins. Number 2, emotional absence is the real scarcity. People don't value what's always there, they value what they suddenly can't reach. My friends, let's hit this straight on. You've been tricked into believing that constant presence equals love, that if you keep showing up, keep texting, keep proving yourself, they'll realize your worth. But here's the sting. Your presence doesn't create value when it's given without boundaries. It creates comfort, and comfort kills urgency. They only start to feel your weight when it's gone. That's the paradox. The less you give, the more they crave. Imagine this. You're the sun, shining on them every single day. Warm, steady, predictable. They stop noticing, they stop appreciating, they stop even looking up. But then one day, the light dims, the warmth vanishes. Suddenly the cold creeps in, and for the first time, they realize what they lost. That's what emotional absence does. It doesn't scream. It doesn't argue. It doesn't send cryptic texts or long explanations. It simply withdraws, and what vanishes becomes valuable. But here's what goes on inside your chest when you try to pull back. You feel like you're losing. You think, if I don't show up, they'll forget me. If I don't reach out, they'll move on. If I don't remind them, they'll replace me. That fear grips you, makes your fingers hover over the keyboard, tempts you to break the silence. And every time you give in, you hand them relief. You give them the comfort of knowing you're still orbiting their world. And my friends, comfort doesn't build respect, it feeds their ego. The lie says, if I keep proving myself, they'll see I'm worth it. Number. They already know you're worth something. They just don't fear losing it. And people don't chase what they don't fear losing. Your emotional absence is the reset button. It's the only thing that interrupts the cycle, flips the script, and makes them second guess. Picture this. You used to message every morning. Now, nothing. You used to like every post. Now, gone. You used to pour into them like a fountain that never ran dry. Now the water stops. And do you know what happens when the water stops? Thirst begins, and thirst makes them restless. They start scrolling through your profile at midnight. They start replaying memories they told themselves were buried. They start lying next to someone new and asking, why doesn't this feel the same? That's the weight of emotional absence. Let me break another lie right here. People told you that love means always being available. That loyalty means never leaving, no matter what. But what if I told you that your endless availability doesn't prove love? It erases mystery. What if I told you that being endlessly present doesn't show your value? It cheapens it. Folks, listen. Scarcity creates desire. Mystery creates magnetism. And your silence, your disciplined absence, is the rarest thing you can offer in a world addicted to noise. But I won't sugarcoat it. This won't feel easy. At first, silence feels like surrender. It feels like giving up. It feels like you're fading while they're laughing in someone else's arms. And that thought will eat at you until you understand the truth. Silence isn't emptiness. It's pressure. Pressure that builds quietly, day by day, until it explodes in their mind as regret. Think about it like this. You're their favorite song on repeat. They play it so much, they stop even hearing it. Then one day, it's gone, radio silent. And at first, they don't notice, but then the silence grows louder than the song ever did. That's when they realize they miss it. Not because the melody changed, but because it vanished. That's what your emotional absence becomes. The melody they can't replay, the warmth they can't replace, the presence they can't demand anymore. So let me ask you, Are you willing to sit in the discomfort long enough to let them feel it? Are you willing to trade short-term relief for long-term power? Because when you finally stop filling the space, they're forced to sit in it. And silence is a mirror, my friends. It makes them face the reality they've been running from. Now, let's make it practical. Don't post cryptic stories. Don't send just checking in texts. Don't pretend you're glowing up for them. Do it for you. Work out. Build. Read, grow. Live. Because silence without growth is just hiding. But silence with growth? That's a storm they can't escape. That's the moment they start to realize your absence isn't weakness. It's evolution. Say this out loud with me. My silence is power. Type it in the comments. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world that you're not afraid to step back, not afraid to protect your energy, not afraid to be rare in a world that settles for cheap. And stay with me, because in the next part, we're going to talk about healing so hard, it doesn't just confuse them, it haunts them. That's when curiosity becomes obsession and absence becomes unforgettable. Stay strong, stay silent, stay rare. Number 3, heal so hard. It makes them curious. The best closure is becoming someone they no longer recognize. My friends, this is where the story starts to flip completely. Pulling back your energy is step 1, but what you do with that energy afterward, that's where the real magic happens. Because if you just go silent but stay stuck, you're not haunting anyone, you're hiding. What truly plants regret deep in their chest is when your silence becomes the soil where transformation grows. When you heal so hard that the old version of you, the one who begged, explained, overthought, vanishes like smoke. And suddenly, when your name crosses their mind, they can't even picture the same man they left behind. Let me put it this way. Imagine you're building a castle. Not some flashy monument you brag about on social media, but a real fortress, stone by stone, discipline by discipline. While they're out there trying to convince themselves that their new chapter is better, you're in the shadows constructing something they never thought you'd have the strength to build. And then one day, without warning, a whisper reaches them. A friend mentions your name. A photo slides across their feed. They hear about you, but what they see and hear doesn't match the man they thought they knew. That gap, the distance between who you were and who you've become, is where curiosity lives. But let's be honest, healing isn't glamorous. It's not a quick montage with upbeat music. It's ugly at first. It's nights where the silence feels heavier than chains. It's mornings where you drag yourself out of bed, questioning if any of this is worth it. It's sitting with your pain long enough to understand it, instead of numbing it with distractions. And that's exactly why most people never heal. They perform. They post quotes online, hoping someone sees. They take gym selfies with sad captions, hoping someone notices. They pretend they're over it while secretly refreshing an old page. That's not healing. That's chasing in disguise. Real healing is private. It's brutal. It's silent. It's you facing the parts of yourself you used to run from, the insecurity, the doubt, the patterns that kept you stuck. And here's the wild part. While they think you're sitting around heartbroken, you're actually dissecting the pain, learning from it, growing because of it. And when you grow in silence, your energy starts to shift in ways they can't ignore. Let me hit you with another metaphor. You're a tree in winter. To the outside world, it looks like you're bare, lifeless, forgotten. But underground, the roots are deepening, strengthening, preparing for a spring no one sees coming. And when the leaves finally burst back, when the branches stretch out stronger than ever, the same people who wrote you off in the cold can't believe the growth. That's healing. It doesn't happen on their timeline. It doesn't happen for their validation. It happens for you. And here's why it haunts them. They thought they had you figured out. They thought your story ended when they left. They thought you would be the same man, sitting in the same place, carrying the same pain. But when you rise out of that, when you heal so deeply that you no longer react, no longer need, no longer wait, they don't just notice, they obsess. Because now you're rare, now you're untouchable, now you're free in a way that exposes how trapped they still are. Of course, fear will whisper while you're healing. What if they never see it? What if I'm just wasting my time? What if I'm forgotten? But here's the truth. It's not about whether they see it. Healing isn't performance, it's preparation. You're not healing to make them regret. You're healing to make sure you never again give away pieces of yourself just to be kept. And ironically, that's exactly what makes them regret. They don't crave the glow-up you post for them. They crave the version of you that no longer needs them. So I'll say it again. Heal so hard that you confuse them. Heal until the sound of your laughter in public contradicts the image of the man they left behind. Heal until your boundaries are stronger than their apologies. Heal until they wonder if they ever really knew you at all. Because nothing makes someone beg to re-enter your life faster than realizing the door now leads to a world they no longer qualify for. Say this out loud with me right now. I heal for me. Type it in the comments. Show me, show yourself. Show the world that you're not performing anymore. You're not chasing. You're not waiting. You are healing for you. And stay with me, because in the next part, we're going to step into the mirror, the moment they're forced to compare you with what they chose. And my friends, that's when their pride starts to break. Stay rare. Stay healing. Stay evolving. Number 4. The mirror effect. Let them compare. Comparison is the thief of joy, but in this case, it becomes the thief of their peace. My friends, let's tell the truth. They don't feel the loss when you beg. They don't feel it when you chase. They don't even feel it when you cry out, asking for closure. No, they only feel it when life forces them to compare, when the new world they chose doesn't match the one they abandoned, when the person they ran to doesn't measure up to the man you became in their absence. That's when the mirror appears, and that mirror is merciless. Picture this. They're sitting across from their so-called upgrade. The laughs are there, but they don't echo the way yours did. The conversations exist, but they don't carry the same depth. The affection is present, but it doesn't burn with the same fire. They smile for the camera, but when the photo is posted and the screen goes dark, their mind does what human minds always do. It compares. And once comparison starts, my friends, it doesn't stop. At first, they'll try to resist it. Pride will scream at them, "Don't think about him. Don't look back. Don't give him that satisfaction." But curiosity is louder. And curiosity always wins. They'll remember the way you made chaos feel calm, the way you stood like a lighthouse in their storm, the way your energy wrapped around them without effort. And suddenly, their new situation doesn't shine the way it did. Suddenly, they're not sure if they traded up, or if they traded down. That's the mirror effect. But here's the key. It only works if you've changed. If you're still the same man they left, still waiting, still scrolling, still hoping, then the mirror reflects exactly why they walked away. That's why your growth is non-negotiable. You can't just vanish, you have to evolve. Because when they glance back and the reflection they see isn't the man they discarded, but someone stronger, sharper, rarer, that contrast cuts deep. And that cut is regret. Think of it like this. You're a book they put down halfway through, convinced they knew the ending. They walked away believing the story had nothing left to offer. But when they pick it up again, years later, they realize the story took a turn they never saw coming. The plot evolved, the character grew, and the ending, it's better than anything they could have imagined. That shock, that sting of realizing they misjudged you, is the power of the mirror. Let's break another lie here. They didn't leave because you lacked value. They left because they believed your value had peaked. They thought they'd seen everything you had to offer. But what happens when you reveal chapters they never expected? When the man they thought they outgrew becomes the man they could never reach again. That's when the mirror becomes their punishment. And don't be fooled, they won't always show it. They might double down on pretending. Bigger smiles, louder posts, more desperate attempts to convince the world they're happy. But behind all that noise is a mind racing with comparisons they can't silence, because every joke their new partner cracks will remind them of your wit. Every hug will remind them of your warmth. Every fight will remind them of the steadiness you carried. And the mirror won't stop reflecting. But here's where you win. You don't try to force it. You don't peek over your shoulder to see if they're watching. You don't perform for their attention. You just keep becoming. You keep stacking discipline, healing, growth and purpose until your presence in their memory is impossible to erase. Because the mirror isn't built by your posts, your stories, or your words. It's built by the undeniable truth of your transformation. So, ask yourself this. Are you becoming the man who causes comparison or the man who begs to avoid it? Because if you're still begging, you're giving them control. But if you're building, if you're healing, if you're moving, then every time they glance back, they'll be faced with the brutal reality that the version of you they once had access to no longer exists. And nothing haunts a person more than realizing they walked away right before the bloom. Say this with me right now. I become the standard. Type it in the comments below. Show me. Show yourself. Show the world that you're not chasing validation anymore. You are becoming so undeniable that comparison itself works in your favor. And stay with me, because in the next part, we're going to talk about the force that makes all of this possible. Discipline. The bowstring you hold steady while they expect you to break. That's where your edge sharpens. That's where the game resets. Stay rare. Stay evolving. Stay untouchable. Number 5. Discipline over desperation. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when your heart is screaming for the opposite. My friends, this is the breaking point where most people lose the game. This is where the emotions roar louder than reason, where the urge to reach out feels unbearable, and where desperation disguises itself as love. Let's be real, you've been there. You sit in silence for a while, and the quiet feels like a punishment. Your chest aches, your mind spins, and your fingers hover over the keyboard, ready to type that message. I just want to talk. I just want closure. I just want you to know I still care. But let me ask you, does that sound like strength, or does that sound like surrender? Discipline is the line in the sand between those two worlds. Without it, your silence collapses. Without it, your growth stalls. Without it, all the progress you made crumbles in a single text. And make no mistake, they expect you to break. They expect the flood of messages. They expect the calls. They expect the 2 a.m. confessions. Why? Because that's what everyone else does. That's what feeds their ego. That's what tells them they still have control. But when you resist, when you hold steady, when you replace desperation with discipline, that's when the tables flip. Imagine a bowstring being pulled back. The tension is unbearable, the pressure feels impossible, and everything in you wants to let go too soon. But if you release too early, the arrow falls flat, weak, pointless, wasted. Discipline is holding that string, steady and unshaken, until the perfect moment. That's what silence backed by discipline feels like. It burns, it stretches, it tests you. But the longer you hold, the sharper your aim becomes. And when you finally release, not toward them, but toward your own future, the arrow flies with unstoppable power. But let's break the lie you've been told. Desperation isn't proof of love. It's proof of fear. Fear of being forgotten. Fear of being replaced. Fear that you weren't enough. And fear has a loud voice, doesn't it? It whispers, if you don't act now, they'll move on forever. If you don't say something, they'll never know how you feel. If you don't remind them, they'll erase you. But listen closely, folks. Fear is a liar. Fear wants you to give them the comfort of knowing you're still waiting. Discipline takes that comfort away. Discipline says, I'm not rushing, I'm not begging, I'm not proving, I'm building. Now let me ask you this. What happens when you stop feeding them the attention they thought they owned? What happens when you stop being predictable? At first, they feel relief. They think, good. He finally stopped. I knew he'd come back eventually, but days pass, weeks pass. The silence grows louder. The relief fades. And that's when the questions creep in. Did he move on? Did he replace me? Did I lose him for good? That confusion only comes when your discipline outlasts their expectations. Of course, discipline is brutal in the beginning. It's like detox. Your heart craves the hit of attention, the quick fix of sending that text. But the more you resist, the stronger you become. Every day, you choose not to break. You're building a new version of yourself. One that's not controlled by impulse, one that's not enslaved to someone else's validation. And over time, that discipline hardens into something unshakable. Think of a sculptor chiseling stone. Each strike looks small, meaningless. But with every strike, the shape changes. That's discipline. You don't see results immediately, but day by day, choice by choice, you carve out a man who no longer bends under pressure, who no longer confuses desperation for love, who no longer hands out his energy like it's free. And when they finally look back, they won't see the man who begged, they'll see the man who built. So let's cut the excuses. No more, I just wanted to check in. No more, I couldn't help myself. No more, I needed closure. You don't need closure. You are the closure. You don't need to remind them. You are unforgettable. You don't need to beg. You are the standard. And the only thing that proves it isn't your words, it's your discipline. Say this with me right now. I choose discipline, not desperation. Type it in the comments. Show me, show yourself, show the world that you're not here to fold at the first wave of emotion. You're here to stand tall in the storm. Stay with me, because in the next part, we're going to talk about what happens when you stop looking back entirely and start building a life so solid, so undeniable, that even if they beg to re-enter, they won't recognize the world you've created. That's where the real power lives. Stay steady, stay disciplined, stay unshakable. Number 6. Build a life that doesn't look back. The best revenge is not revenge at all. It's living a life so complete they wouldn't even know where to fit anymore. My friends, let's be real. Most men get stuck here. They wait. They wonder. They waste precious months checking their phone, replaying memories, hoping for closure. But here's the truth. Closure isn't something they give you. Closure is what you build. And the only way to build it is to stop looking over your shoulder and start constructing a life so bold, so undeniable, that even if they begged to return, they wouldn't recognize the world you now inhabit. Picture this. You're walking forward down a long road. Behind you, they're calling, testing, seeing if you'll stop and turn around. And every time you glance back, you trip, you stumble, you delay your journey. But the moment you fix your eyes forward, on the horizon, on your mission, you stop tripping. You start moving, faster, stronger, freer. That's what it means to build a life that doesn't look back. But let's talk about why it feels so difficult. Because the fear in your chest says, if I stop looking back, I'll lose them forever. If I stop checking, if I stop waiting, if I stop hoping, I'll miss my chance. That's the lie. Because the truth is, you can't lose what already walked away, and the only thing you're losing by looking back is time, the one resource you'll never get back. Think of it like driving. You can glance in the rearview mirror, but if you stare too long, you'll crash into what's in front of you. And what's in front of you, my friends, is everything. Your career, your health, your peace, your purpose, your future relationships, your legacy. That's the road that matters, not the road behind you filled with what-ifs and maybes. Let's break another lie. They didn't leave because your story ended. They left because they assumed your story would stay the same. They thought they had you figured out, that the life you were living when they walked away was the life you'd still be living a year from now. But when you build forward, when you create new chapters, when you rise into a life they never expected, suddenly the script flips. They thought they knew the ending, but you rewrote the entire story without needing their name in the credits. Imagine this. Months from now, you're not just surviving, you're thriving. You're healthier, sharper, wealthier. Your mornings start with discipline, not despair. Your days are filled with progress, not longing. Your nights end in peace, not overthinking. And then one day someone casually mentions your name in their presence, not in a gossipy way, not even intentionally, just a passing remark. "Oh, have you seen what he's been up to? He's killing it." And in that split second, their stomach drops, because the world they abandoned is now unrecognizable. The seat they left open no longer exists. But here's the secret. You don't build this life for them to notice. You don't build to provoke their regret. You build because you finally realized you were the prize all along. You build because you're done outsourcing your happiness to people who didn't fight to stay. You build because life is too short to keep playing backup in someone else's story. And let me add this. Building a life forward doesn't mean pretending you're okay. It means creating even on the days you're not okay. It means waking up early even when you don't feel like it. It means hitting the gym, reading the book, stacking the habits, even when the weight of the past still presses on your chest. Because discipline builds momentum, and momentum builds power. And over time, the pain that once controlled you becomes the fuel that propels you. So let me ask you right now, what are you building? A new routine, a new body, a new business, a new mindset? Because whatever it is, build it with both hands. Build it with intention. Build it so strong that when they look back, they don't just miss you. They realize they can't even find the door to re-enter the life you've created. Say this with me. I build for me. Type it in the comments. Show me, show yourself, show the world that this chapter isn't about proving them wrong. It's about proving yourself right. Because the man you're becoming, he was always inside you. He just needed space, silence, and heartbreak to wake up. And stay with me, my friends, because in the next part, we're going to talk about what happens when they circle back. Not with power, not with confidence, but with uncertainty and doubt. And this time, the decision will be yours. That's when true power is tested. Stay building, stay rising, stay untouchable. Number 7. When they come back, you decide. Power isn't in being wanted. Power is in knowing you don't need to be. My friends, let's talk about the moment you've secretly imagined 100 times, the day they come back. Not as strong as they left, not with the same confidence, not with the same fire. No, this time it's different. Their steps are slower, their words less certain. Their eyes carry hesitation because they don't know if the door is still open. They left expecting to find you frozen in place, waiting like a bookmark in a story they could pick up any time. But instead, they returned to find a man they barely recognize, still, calm, untouchable. And in that moment, the power flips. But here's the question. What do you do when they come back? Do you bend? Do you break? Do you let old feelings sweep you into old patterns? Or do you stand tall, knowing that the choice is no longer theirs, it's yours? See, they thought time would stand still. They thought your love was an endless fountain. They thought they could go off, taste something new, and then stroll back into your world without consequence. But your silence, your discipline, your growth, they changed the game. You didn't just pause, you rebuilt. And now, they're not facing the man they left. They're facing the man they never believed you could become. Imagine this. They knock on the door of your old house, expecting you to answer. But you don't live there anymore. You built a new home, a stronger one, and their old key doesn't fit. That's what happens when you rise. That's what happens when you stop waiting and start building. And when they stand there, holding the weight of their own regret, you'll realize something life-changing. You don't even need to open the door. But let's be real, it won't be easy. The emotions will stir, memories will resurface, your heart might even skip at the sound of their name, and that's where your strength is tested. Because power isn't about rejecting them with anger or welcoming them with desperation. Power is about standing in your stillness, grounded, knowing that your worth doesn't depend on their return. Let me break another lie. They don't come back because they suddenly discovered new love for you. They come back because your absence stripped away their illusion. They come back because the silence forced them to compare. They come back because the life you built without them reminds them of the future they could have had. But that doesn't mean you owe them access to the kingdom you built. That doesn't mean you shrink yourself back into the man they once knew. This is where you rise above revenge. This is where you rise above proving a point. This is where you look in the mirror and see the truth. You were never unworthy. You were just distracted. They didn't underestimate your love. They underestimated your growth. And now that growth has turned into the one thing they can't escape. So when they do return, and trust me, they almost always circle back. It's not about them anymore. It's about you. You get to choose, not from need, not from longing, but from power. And maybe you'll listen, maybe you'll talk, but this time you won't beg, you won't bend, you won't shrink. You'll decide, because you've built something too rare, too valuable, too strong to risk again. Say this out loud with me right now. I decide who stays. Type it in the comments below. Let it be known, not just to them, not just to me, but to yourself and to the entire world, that this is your season of choice. This is your moment of power. This is where the man they left behind becomes the man who writes his own story. And if this message hit you deep, if you felt the fire, if you know it's time to stop waiting and start rising, then show it. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs this truth. Because this isn't just about healing, it's about dominance, peace, and purpose. Stay solid, stay rising, stay sovereign.